I also just had my first pregnancy scare when I was super young. I was way too young. Yeah, I know. I don't look like a guy who was fucking at 13. I look like a man who's still saving himself for the Lord now. 13, that's way too young. You wanna know how I know it's too young? I showed up on rollerblades to find out about it. I got there and she was like, you're probably gonna wanna take those off for this. And here's the crazy part too. When she told me, I swear to God, I was like, well, I'm definitely losing my allowance over this shit. By the way, I was not planning on having sex at 13. I didn't think I was like the man, you know what I mean? What happened was my parents were afraid I was already having sex, so my mom put condoms in my top drawer and told me they could be used on your wedding night, but they're there if you need them. I know, cool ass mom. And I told my girlfriend and she was like, we need them. I know, and I was like, thank you, mommy! My favorite part about that story too is even the fact that I got to have sex. It means that there was a day where my mom and my dad went to a CVS together, walked down that condom aisle, had to look at the 24-pack, the 12-pack, and the 3-pack, and they had to ask themselves, how much do we believe in this kid? They went with the 3-pack, appropriate amount. They knew their baby boy. But I was smart. I was smart. I didn't want my parents to know I was having sex, so I did my own little CVS condom recon mission, right? And I go to that CVS and I walk down that condom aisle and there's literally hundreds of condoms. And I don't know what to do. I'm 13. I'm looking at all these condoms and I don't know what to get. And all of a sudden I see the ones that say Magnums. And I'm like, Magnums, that sounds cool. So I pick up the Magnums and I go to take them up to the front, but I get some like other shit to camouflage them in with, you know what I mean? Like I pick up my Flintstones chewables, peanut M&Ms. Head up to the front and the lady starts checking me out and then she gets to the Magnums. She looks at the Magnums, looks at me and just goes, yeah, these aren't for you. And she was right. She was doing me a solid. I would have been tying the other half off as a water balloon. So. They better have a fucking IUD for my son. That's all I'm saying. This is totally true. I was on stage in Cleveland, Ohio a couple months ago, and while I was on stage talking about IUDs, this lady just yells out from the back of the room, they don't know where mine is. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, it's just kind of lost inside of me. And I was like, what are you doing here? And she was like, the doctor said it'll resurface. Resurface? What is it, a fucking Russian submarine? Like, was someone going down Periscope on your puss and just knock that thing loose? Do we need to go on a hunt for the Red October right now? That's not even the craziest part of this story. After the show, I'm outside, I'm meeting the audience, shaking hands, taking pictures. Totally different woman comes up to me and she's like, yeah, IUDs, they're crazy. And I was like, yeah? And she was like, yeah, every 2 weeks you gotta get in there and you gotta check for the strings. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, every 2 weeks you gotta get in there and you gotta check for the strings. And I was like, I don't have to do anything. Who raised these people in Cleveland? My son's getting that fucking IUD.